You're building all these relationships. It's like you're investing in a way. You don't want your relationship portfolio to be too one-sided because anyone could come out against you. So you want to diversify your portfolio with a bunch of fake one-sided relationships, but the person you're building the relationship with thinks that it's real. My name is Hillary Clinton, and that is step 1, befriend your enemies. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of The Aux, and as you can tell, I am still in the holiday spirit. I'm recording this the day after Christmas, and I'm still feeling it. I'm still feeling the Christmas vibe, still feeling the Christmas spirit, and I have my stand up for a sec so you guys can see it. Woo! Do you even gift, bro? That's what it says. It's a Santa that's much more vascular and muscular than me, where his shirt says, "Do you even lift?" And then that is on a shirt, or a sweater rather, that I'm wearing. And it's kind of depressing, honestly, that a guy who spends his year just kind of lounging around, eating cookies and milk, and he has this whole network of slaves that we call elves doing the work for him, that he's 10 times more jacked than me. And this is still my favorite Christmas sweater, so I wanted to wear it, be festive. Hopefully you can see my little snowman guy on camera. And we're going to hop right into it today. We're going to get into it. We got an exciting episode for the Aux. We're talking about Hillary Clinton's new MASTERCLASS that she just released. She just dropped a MASTERCLASS. And should you take it? Is it even on the right topic? We'll get into all of that in a little bit. Nancy Pelosi was asked about insider trading, and she answered it. She gave an answer, which a lot of people are giving her shit for, but I think it's actually the correct answer. So we're going to get into that too. There's also Amazon just announced that they will be deleting reviews for President Xi Jinping's book that are less than 5 stars. So Amazon and big tech in general is continually bowing to China, and they're actually deleting non-5-star reviews from the Amazon store. The president of China put a book on Amazon, released a book. Amazon's one of the places where you can get it. And the Chinese president, Xi Jinping, kindly asked Jeff Bezos to remove anything that wasn't a perfect score. And Jeff Bezos complied. So we're going to get into all of that, but first, Hillary Clinton's MASTERCLASS. So you guys have probably heard of MASTERCLASS. You guys have no doubt seen the YouTube ads. I feel like every ad nowadays is just something related to the MASTERCLASS or a spin-off of a MASTERCLASS. And it's like all these people, all these famous people that are clearly making enormous sums of money doing what they do, whether it's musicians or actors or politicians like Hillary Clinton, whatever they did and however they made their money. They've made so much goddamn money that MASTERCLASS must be paying them exorbitant amounts to do this, because why would a rock star teach a MASTERCLASS on how to play the guitar if they weren't getting paid $20 million? Their time is so valuable that it doesn't make sense. You get paid $500,000 to put on a concert. Why would you record a MASTERCLASS unless you weren't getting paid as much or greater than that? And it doesn't seem that fun to sit down and record one of these MASTERCLASSes, but yet MASTERCLASS is killing it. It seems like this is the future of education, where it will be almost like a Netflix of self-education in the future. And it's already starting to happen where you won't necessarily go to school in person, but it will be like you can build your own education system, and different sources of education will give out different degrees. So MasterClass may have a MasterClass degree in the future where you can take geometry or chemistry or photography or music, and you'll get credit for that, and you can pick your own education as you go along. I think that's the direction we're heading, rather than continue on this educational system that doesn't make sense, where you get blasted with 10 different subjects for 40 minutes a day and you retain nothing of it. And then the way that you're tested is you fill in multiple choice questions on matching one statement to another, and you're not actually building an understanding of anything. You're just memorizing facts. And you're not digging deep into the facts. You're not trying to understand how those facts came to be and what the elements are of those facts and what led up to that fact. All you care about was that the Civil War ended in 1865, and you don't need to know why it started or how it started, or the emotions and the buildup and what humans were like back then. All you need to do is when you see the multiple choice question, what year did the Civil War start? And the choices 1942, 1865, 2004, or yesterday. You just need to know that specific thing. That's what education is nowadays. It's just memorizing a bunch of things without actually connecting them. That's what I felt like, at least. Like I was just being, like all my teachers had a machine gun of facts, and I was just getting fucking them shot at me through the form of PowerPoint. And then my job was to regurgitate those back and not actually understand anything I was learning. So maybe MasterClass will be the future, but Hillary Clinton apparently is hopping onto that future. She released a MasterClass. You can actually subscribe to MasterClass and take Hillary Clinton's MasterClass in resilience. And there's a trailer for it on YouTube, which I thoroughly enjoyed watching. So we're gonna go through that trailer now. Let's bring it up. Dun dun dun. Dun dun dun. Just plug it in so I can play this for you guys. All right. Let's dive into it.
I'm going to share with you what I intended to say if I had been elected in 2016. My fellow Americans.
Okay. When will she let this go? It's been 5 years. I feel, just right off the bat, I feel like this MasterClass is going to be Hillary Clinton just trying to convince us and convince herself that she should have beat Donald Trump in 2016. And it happened 5 years ago, and it seems like she went away, but I think this MasterClass in a way is her own version of convincing herself through the form of a masterclass and releasing it to the people. I think this is the start of a campaign for her to run again in 2024. This is what it seems like. Like, it's already setting it up. She's sitting in the oval, like an oval office. There's an oval table right next to her. She's wearing her like regular lesbian pink suit. So we'll see. Let's see.
Today, you sent a message to the whole world. Everybody will be knocked down. The question is, will you get back up? I want to share my life lessons with the hope that it might help you as you navigate your own life. I made so many gaffes and mistakes. There are steps you can take to build confidence in yourself, to begin to trust yourself, about the decisions you will make.
Power of resilience, baby.
This class is for anyone at any age who wants to think about building a life of meaning and purpose, of having a mission that captures what you're willing to stand up for. Everyone, every one of you has the ability to be resilient. I've been, reduced to tears. I've been frustrated beyond words. But the lesson that I've learned about getting back up after setbacks or disappointments is to first feel the disappointment. Don't pretend it didn't happen. It did.
Don't pretend it didn't happen. It did. Don't pretend like you didn't lose the election in 2016. It did. It did. And again, like I don't care about at this point the Trump versus Clinton election back in 2016. It's just fascinating to me that she almost in her own delusional cloud of self-convincingness, she seems to be building a reality in which she's living in, and that MASTERCLASS is a part of that reality, that she like somehow really won the election and it was taken from her, and she just seems not to let it go. And I think Hillary Clinton would be happier as a person if she just chalked it up and said, I lost and fucking Trump won, and maybe I'll run again in 2024 and beat him. But that's how elections work. And I guess now if you lose, instead of admitting defeat, you can hop on a masterclass and teach people the version of your reality that you would like to exist. And maybe you want to enter that reality. If you're listening to this podcast, we're still not even done with the preview. So let's jump back into Clinton's reality.
You have to authentically dig deep to get back up.
Oval Office.
I'm Hillary Rodham Clinton,
Yeah.
and this is MASTERCLASS.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's what that is. That's a masterclass, baby. So I don't know exactly what I just watched. No idea what I just watched. Here is it. Isn't it weird? Like, it's weird to have people. It's weird to have people on a masterclass claiming to teach you things like resilience and to teach you skills like writing a song or taking a photograph or cooking, like these things on masterclass that no doubt help in some way. I'm not saying that these classes are complete bullshit or there's nothing there to them. I think that there is something to taking a masterclass, but right off the bat, before we even dive into the actual class, it's just like if someone, you can't learn resilience through sitting at a computer. The computer is a great tool and it's a great tool for learning, but there are only some things that you should learn on a computer. Like resilience, you need to go through your own experience and your own difficulties and your own downfalls, and you need to experience loss and suffering and all these things that are your own brand. It's your own brand of suffering in a way. No one else knows how to get through that suffering. And so whatever it is that Hillary Clinton is selling about her resilience, like, I'm going to teach you how to be resilient through a class online. It's like that might work for her. She's telling you what worked for her with resilience. She's telling you how to get through the loss that she incurred in her life or the difficulties that she incurred in her life. And chances are you're not, the things that Hillary Clinton went through, yeah, sure, some of them would apply to the average person, but like no one needs a masterclass in how to get back on your feet when your husband gets blown by his secretary or assistant, Monica Lewinsky, whatever it was. Like no one needs a masterclass in getting through a presidential election defeat. I feel like if there was going to be a masterclass on resilience, it needs to be more applicable to the general person, more applicable to everyday experiences. And, you know, no matter how many people Hillary Clinton hires to have around her to tell her what it's like to be an average person, you know, have some guy come on a masterclass that's like a gambling addict that lost all his money and got back on his feet, or some guy that went through, a guy or girl who went through drug addiction, or someone who went through a divorce, or you know, some guy who got in a car accident and rehabilitated himself back to normal. But just like something that connects to people. I feel like the approach to this masterclass, it's so high above, and it's so like the imagery, the Oval Office, you're sitting in the fancy house, you're separated from people, you're the ex-first lady, you ran for president. That's her brand of resilience that applies to people that are in those sorts of families and those situations. Like 99.9% of people don't need to know how to get through the things that Hillary Clinton got through, because they're never going to run for political office. They're never going to be married to the president. They're never, and I'm not saying that nothing can apply. That I'm sure there are some things that can apply, but if this was going to work, if this masterclass was going to work in any way, I feel like it just needs to kind of come back down to reality a bit and say, you know, I'm Hillary Clinton. And what I'm really good at, this is just me and you talking right now. My name is Hillary Rodham Clinton. And what I'm really good at, sure, I'm resilient. Sure, I'm still fucking here, baby. Trump can't take me out. I'm here in the Oval Office. It's sure I made this myself. Sure, it's not actually an Oval Office in the White House, but I have oval things in it. I'm sitting at an oval desk right now, aren't I? And what I'm really good at, this is the masterclass that Hillary Clinton should put out. This is the masterclass that I would buy. Hillary Clinton, brought to you by Masterclass, How to Kill Your Enemies. That would be the greatest masterclass of all time. My name is Hillary Clinton. I'm going to teach you how to kill your enemies, and this is Masterclass. And for anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about, search Clinton body count, hashtag Clinton body count, and there are all these accounts and people and stories and these shady dealings that, sure, a lot of them are conspiracies, but there's a lot of people who go after the Clintons that somehow disappear. And I'm not saying that she did it or that Bill did it, but I am saying it's happened to a lot of people. Well, they'll say something bad about the Clintons, or they'll learn some piece of information. You know, maybe there's a guy locked up in New York City that has information on a pedophile island that Bill Clinton has flown to 27 times in the flight reports, and he kills himself one day. There's been, you know, multiple people who have, quote unquote, killed themselves after finding out something about the Clintons. They've washed up on a riverbed, or they got in a T-bone car wreck, or they drown, or just all these things where they find out too many. And here's the thing. Regardless if it's a terrible thing to do, and if it's a dark thing to do, and it's a monstrous thing to do, Hillary Clinton is good at it. Whatever happens to the people who come at Hillary Clinton and the Clintons in general, whether they have been killed or they commit suicide or they just make them go away, or they disappear, or maybe they go away under their own volition. Maybe there's something that the Clintons say to people, and they've built up a technique and a script and a way to make their enemies disappear without actually having to harm them. Maybe they get them to disappear on their own. I don't know. But they do disappear, and they don't talk, and they go away. And so that would be a masterclass that I would be interested in. I want to know the deepest, darkest secrets of Hillary Clinton getting behind the camera. Like, she knows she's that bitch, because she's faking the resilience. She knows what happened in 2016. She's crying, reading her would-be election-winning speech. That's all an act, and I'm not interested in it. Not because I'm on the left or I'm on the right, but because that shit's boring. We've had too many fake cry apologies. This whole masterclass is just one of those YouTuber fucking like crying videos that they make after they get in trouble or something bad happens. They practice 50 times how to cry on camera, and then they record a video and they put it out, and it's just them feeling sorry and crying, and it's not interesting. And that's what this masterclass seems to be. It's just her trying to get people on her side for 2024, 2016, from 2016 on, when the election was stolen from her. And she's disguising it in the form of a masterclass. That's boring to me. Like, I would get it if it was interesting, but this just seems set up as boring. Now, what's not boring is a masterclass on how to make your enemies disappear, however you're doing it. And I would love to see her, just that bitch, get behind the camera. She wouldn't be faking, because she could speak from the heart. She doesn't need to read from a script for that masterclass. She's done this hundreds of times with her husband. Someone comes out with an piece of information, they go away, the Clintons go on, they have their money, they have their private yachts, their houses, and the reputation, and that remains intact. And that's what Hillary Clinton is good at. She's good at maintaining a reputation among the elites and making her detractors disappear. I would love if she just got in front of the camera and was like, step 1, befriend your enemies. I know, look, it's the oldest rule in the book, but my name is Hillary Clinton, and I'm telling you, there is no better way to get close to your enemies than to invite them to a cocktail party, than to put a glass of shrimp, of cold shrimp. Not as cold as my heart, but cold cocktail shrimp and some good sauce, because people will leave if the food's not good. You have to befriend your enemies, step 1, and you have to make sure that when you're befriending your enemies, you get them some good sauce, because they're going to be lying in their own sauce pretty soon. But you don't actually hate these people. You might even like them, but they need to go away. They need to go away, and step 1 is to befriend them. You invite them over, they have a good time, you get drunk, they give you some information, you give them what you want, some information, and you build a relationship, you build a rapport. And you do this before they say something about you. You do this before they say something, because you want to be set up where you're in their corner, they trust you, you give them your pretend trust, just in case they say anything. You're building all these relationships. It's like you're investing in a way. You don't want your relationship portfolio to be too one-sided, because anyone could come out against you. So you want to diversify your portfolio with a bunch of fake one-sided relationships, but the person you're building the relationship with thinks that it's real. My name is Hillary Clinton, and that is step 1. Befriend your enemies. Befriend them. Step 2. You continue to build that relationship, and then something goes down. Step 2 is you manage the incident. Someone says something against you. Maybe you were doing some shady things over email that you weren't supposed to. I'm Hillary Clinton. I do a lot of things. I talk to a lot of people. Sometimes I slip up and I use my own personal email when I should be using a business account. Sometimes, the wallets get confused. Sometimes I buy something and it comes from the campaign wallet when I thought it was my own personal bank account. Things happen. I'm Hillary Clinton. But you did it, and now there's an incident and someone's talking. So step 2 is managing that incident. So you want to invite that person over again. They're familiar with the house, the surroundings. They've eaten the food. They've seen your children. You've seen their children. And you remind them of that. You say, it's so crazy. I've seen your children 25 times in the past 2 years. I know their schedule. I know when they get picked up from school. I know everything about them. And it's so crazy that if I wanted something to happen to them, I could make it happen. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Because you said something about me sending some emails a few weeks ago, and I saw you do something with your kids a few weeks ago when you picked them up from school at 3:05 p.m. That's right, from Westlake Elementary. So, we just see each other do things sometimes. And, sometimes we talk about things. Sometimes we just let them go. Or sometimes we take action. And if you took action and decided to speak to, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, God forbid, if you decided to take action and talk about something that I did, let's say those emails I sent out that I shouldn't have, I might have to take some action myself. Do you see what I'm saying, Pete? Do you see what I'm saying to you? I'm Hillary Clinton, and I'm talking to you right now, and I'm managing my enemy. So that's the second step. Step one is you build the relationship. You diversify that portfolio. Step 2 is you manage the incident. You manage your enemy. You let them know, hey, look, I know you know the things that I've done. I know you know. And I'm letting you know I know the things you've done too, and I know the people you care about. And I just like that all can go away. It's your decision. You can tell the media, or you can keep your mouth shut and take this check. And I will never see you again. Step 3 is if that person then goes to the media, they blab, they use their connections and they start making your life difficult. Step 3 is you send them a threat through someone else, though. You can't send them a direct threat because that would go back to you, but you know people and you have people that work for you and you pay them a lot of money, and you go to someone close to you and you say, listen, this conversation never happened, just like this $5 million check never happened, and you slide it slowly towards them and you look them in the eyes and you say, look, Pete's talking and I need Pete to stop talking. I'm not telling you to make him stop talking or do anything to him directly, but I'm saying there may be another check that's sent to you once a month around this size. If something happened to Pete, I'm not saying those two things are connected, but I'm saying this check might appear in your inbox every, month or so. If something if something happened to Pete, to send a message, I'm not saying you did it. And that's step 3. You send a very thinly veiled threat that can't be linked back to you. And if that doesn't work, if Pete continues to talk, if he gets some balls, because that's what the Clintons hate. They hate balls. Hillary Clinton hates balls. She doesn't hate men. She loves men. I'm sure she loves her husband. But what she hates is when men and women, they grow balls and they get confident, they get heroic, and she just sits back and she goes to step 5, which is elimination, disappearance, however it happens. And she can't go into too many details on MASTERCLASS on step 5 because you need to be creative with that. Just like she could tie this back into the resilience where she's telling people, you have your own brand of resilience. I can't tell you how to be resilient. You've been through your own life. You have your own resources. You've been through your own difficulties. I can just speak about resilience at a general level, and then you can take it and apply it to your own situation. She'll say the same thing. I can't tell you how to make someone disappear. You've had different experiences than me. You have different relationships. You have different consequences, different resources. I'm Hillary Clinton, God damn it. The most fucking resources on the entire planet. All I'm telling you is that this is what I've learned about making people disappear, and you can apply that to your own creative way. Be creative. Buy some shit. Go to Home Depot. Drive around a little bit. Look in the woods. Go to the lake. See how many people come there. I'm not telling you to do anything, but just go explore. Be creative. Make sure it can't come back to you, and that is step 5. And my name is Hillary Clinton, and this is MASTERCLASS. Tell me you wouldn't buy that. That would be the greatest MASTERCLASS of all time. Hillary Clinton on how to make your enemies disappear. I got chills just thinking about that. All right, next thing. Nancy Pelosi, insider trading. So apparently, people in Congress are trading on things that they shouldn't be. They are, to my understanding, when you're in Congress, you're not supposed to trade on stocks yourself, but your family can. Your spouse can, your dependent children can. They just have to disclose that information. And people in Congress have been forgetting lately to disclose a lot of things. It just slipped their mind that they made $400K on Facebook. They just forgot to report it. And look, I want to believe them. I don't know. I don't know what happened. When you make $200K a year in Congress and you make $500K on a single trade, sometimes you just forget. You're like, oh yeah, I forgot I told my husband to buy Facebook before we put this law into effect. The only knowledge, the only specific knowledge that I had as a member of Congress. I just forgot. I tell my husband a lot of things. Sometimes I just talk about Facebook and I say, you know what, babe, you may want to buy this, you may not. This law is going into effect tomorrow, or I know this isn't going to pass. Just, make a few trades, make some things happen. Make it happen. And sometimes they do, and people forget to report it. It happens. Sometime, in the future, maybe I'll forget that I have $5 million in Bitcoin just chilling in my account, which I don't. That would be amazing. But let's say I did. Sometimes, when the IRS starts coming after cryptocurrency and they want people to report capital gains, I might forget that I, turned $5 million of Bitcoin into cash. Sometimes those things just slip your mind. They just go out of your mind sometimes. And you're not always in control of what happens. So Nancy Pelosi was questioned about this insider trading report. I believe it was from Business Insider, and there were 180 something people in Congress who just broke the Stock Act. They broke the law, didn't report their earnings. They had their spouses buy stocks, their children buy stock. They put it in other people's names so it's ready for them when they step out of Congress. And this is the interaction that went down. So let's load this up. Let's get this pony going. Dun dun. Alrighty.
Madam Speaker, Insider just completed a 5-month investment.
All right.
Speaker, Insider just completed a 5-month investigation finding that 49 members of Congress and 182 senior congressional staffers have violated the Stock Act.
So it's a little bit fuzzy. This guy's saying, bunch of people in Congress, 180 plus people violated the Stock Act.
The insider trading law. I'm wondering if you have any reaction to that. And secondly, should members of Congress and their spouses be banned from trading individual stocks while serving?
So the guy says, do you have any reaction to that? And should members of Congress be banned from trading individual stocks?
No, I don't know to the second one. We have a responsibility to report in the stock, on the stock, but I'm not familiar with that 5-month review, but if people aren't reporting, they should be. Because this is a free market and we are a free market economy. They should be able to participate in that.
So I love this response from Pelosi. I love this response from Pelosi because this is like when a frat bro tries to explain anything in finance. Like he's read one article on cryptocurrency and he's trying to convince you to get hard into Bitcoin. And it may be a good decision to do that. But that frat bro doesn't know. And you're just like, why is Bitcoin, why should I get into Bitcoin? And he's just like, dude, free market economy, yo. Free market. Like he'll just start using all these basic, like very vague phrases. Free market. People, you have to self-actualize in the free market. And everything nowadays, nothing is tied to assets in the real world. Everything is a digital landscape, and portfolios are being built. Real estate's being built in the metaverse. You have to use this free market and transform your knowledge of free market in the real world into the metaverse and cryptocurrency, because that is when you're really free. You are not free until you are saved by Mark Zuckerberg and you then rise into the metaverse. Look, your decisions have gotten you crucified, and you should be, because you're terrible at making decisions with your money. You're terrible at managing your portfolio, but you can rise again on the third day. Just rise into the metaverse because it's a free market, and crypto and Bitcoin will set you free. And I love Pelosi's just like, this is a super direct question. And Pelosi just goes straight to that frat bro vocabulary. She's like, dude, free market, bro. Free market. It's free. It's a free market. And she's not wrong. But by the way, Pelosi is not wrong. For members of Congress, it is literally it's about as close to a free market. And I don't mean free market in the sense of everyone having equal opportunity. I mean free in terms of cost of investing and getting caught breaking the law. It's as close to free as you can get as a member of Congress. Apparently, we're gonna get into the insider report in a little bit, but apparently, if you break the Stock Act, so let's say you're enacting as a member of Congress, some law is gonna pass that will make Facebook more popular, let's say the metaverse more popular, and this, and people in Congress are the only ones with knowledge of this, and you invest $500K in Facebook, or you have your husband invest $500K in Facebook, or your daughter, and so you keep the money in the family, and you don't disclose that. The fine for that, in most cases, is $200. Or an internal ethics committee settles it in Congress, which most of the time results in nothing. They just kind of slap it away. They're like, what, $500K, wearing $400K trillion in debt. Who gives a shit? Just free market, bro. Have Congress do whatever they want. It's literally free. Like, how can you set people up in Congress to make financial decisions that are going to be in accordance with the law when the penalty for making enormous sums of money for their family that they can just take over when they're out of Congress, people are voting on so many laws, and they're constantly dealing with people in tech and people in health, people in every industry, oil, gas. Like, people are constantly at your door saying, we need this to pass. We don't want this to pass. Oh, by the way, if this passes and you invest in this, you'll make $2 million and you'll have a nice little nest egg when you come out of Congress. When your penalty for breaking that is $200, how can you? I wouldn't follow that. Would anyone follow that? Like, you know that you can make millions of dollars, and an internal ethics committee will slap you on the wrist or give you a $200 fine. Like, that is like if the crime, or that is like if the punishment for pedophilia was you had to do 25 push-ups. Like, sure, that's going to stop some pedophiles that are in horrible shape, but most of them are going to keep banging kids in the butt because they're just going to get in a little bit better shape if they couldn't do push-ups. And if they get caught screwing a kid, they're just going to get a slap on the wrist, bang out 25 push-ups, and do exactly, go back to exactly what they're doing. And they might be in better shape. It might make their lives better. They're like, hey, because of this, not only am I a pedophile, but now I'm a pedophile that's looking good, feeling good. My life is healthy. And so what? I fuck a kid every few weeks. It's fine. It's fine. That's literally the level of punishment. Absurd that you can make millions of dollars on a trade, not declare it. And they're just like, well, look, we take this Stock Act very seriously. You are contributing to the mass untrustworthiness of people in this country, members in Congress. You are leveraging information that no one else has to make enormous sums of money. You are sucking the cocks of people in the tech industry and oil and gas, and you're doing whatever they want because you're just going to make your own money and take a job in that industry after you're out of Congress. And for literally tearing the infrastructure of this economy apart bit by bit, that's $200. That's $200 motherfucking dollars, bitch. And you better pay up right now. I'd be like, I'll give you $200K. Because I just made $500, so fucking take some for yourself and shut the fuck up. Like, I'll give you $200K right now just so I don't have to sit in this meeting ever again with you berating me for making trades. Like, I'll pay off my breaking the law ahead of time. Like, I wouldn't doubt if people in Congress are like, listen, I know the penalty is $200 and we have to meet every time I break the Stock Act, but what if I just pay you up front like $10K? Because I don't even want to deal with this. This is such a nuisance. Of course I'm going to break the law. Of course. Why the fuck would I be in Congress right now if I wasn't in it to get rich? So yeah, let's get into it. So this is on businessinsider.com. Title of the article is at least 182 high-ranking congressional staffers have violated a federal conflict of interest law with overdue disclosure of their personal stock trades. And here's what they're saying. At least 182 of Capitol Hill's most influential and highest paid staffers have blown past deadlines to detail and disclose their personal stock trades, violating a federal conflict of interest law in the process, an insider analysis of congressional financial documents reveals. Insiders tally includes aides in both the House and the Senate with high-ranking jobs such as chiefs of staff, legislative directors, communication directors, and also among them are workers known as professional staff members who serve on congressional committees. That's why a law President Obama signed almost a decade ago obligated senior staff to disclose their stock trades just as lawmakers do. The 182-person finding is part of Insider's exhaustive Conflicted Congress project, in which journalists reviewed nearly 9,000 financial disclosure reports for every sitting lawmaker and their top-ranking staffers. Watchdog groups say the sheer number of late filings is evidence of far too lax attitude on Capitol Hill about ethics rules. All right, so let's get into... They give some numbers here. All right, so stock trades exceeding 1,000 from senior congressional staffers, their spouses, or any dependent children are supposed to be a matter of public record, because this is what a lot of them do. They can't invest in it personally, but they will have their family members do it or their children do it, and it's not in their name, but you can connect the dots. And then let's see. So it goes into the penalties that you will get if you break this act. So let's get into that a little bit. So Senator Tim Kaine, a Democrat of Virginia, who was Hillary Clinton's 2016 vice presidential running mate, serves on the Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee, which has the power to regulate the healthcare industry and oversees government healthcare programs. Henry's highest Vertex sale was valued at $50,001 to $100,000. He told the Insider the Senate Ethics Committee informed him that he'd forgotten to file a disclosure about it. So he was making trades or selling stocks, $50K to $100K. He said that he paid a fine. The standard late filing penalty is $200, but that the committee didn't give him a receipt. In response to this, he said, "I will certainly work harder to avoid such oversights in the future, as disclosing information like this is important to me." No, it's not. Like, we should just stop doing this charade where we pretend that people in Congress are going to comply with these bullshit trading laws, because you have so much information available to you. Imagine if you had buckets and buckets and buckets of insider information on stocks, and you talk about details that change the way the market reacts and plays out every single day, and then there's some agreement with the penalty of $200 that says, by the way, if you use any of this information to trade illegally or in your family's name, you can't do that. It goes against human nature. If you tell me, not to take steroids and compete in the UFC, but there's all this access to steroids, like all my training mates are taking it. It's so easy to get. I can make it part of my routine. It's not that hard to get caught. And by the way, if I get caught taking steroids, all I have to do is pay a couple $100 and I can just keep doing what I'm doing, especially if you have all that money. $200 is literally like a speck of dust to someone in Congress. We should just stop doing this charade where we pretend that people in Congress are going to be able to ignore the massive amounts of information that cross their desk on a daily basis. And there's only two ways, the way I see it, to move forward. You either have to make it illegal for people in Congress to trade on any stocks, or you just give them a shit ton of money and make people in Congress billionaires before they get into Congress. Like, if you're elected, you give a member of Congress, let's say, $20 million. And you say, okay, you're rich now. You were elected into Congress. Your net worth is now $25 million. Now do your fucking job. And you're not allowed to trade anymore. You won't have people, because we live in a financial world. We live in a capitalist society. It's so easy to leverage people's intentions and people's decision-making ability in Congress by trying to persuade them with money. The enticement of making more money is so fucking great that we can't expect human beings, because people in Congress are human. Despite the amount of evidence that shows the contrary, people in Congress are still human. And if they have all this fucking information, of course they're going to act on it. You'd be stupid not to act on it when the fine is that small. If you could make money for your family, generational wealth, by trading on information that no one else has, why the fuck wouldn't you? So make these people rich. Either make it illegal or just say, okay, you're elected. Here's $25 million. You're not allowed to trade on stocks, but we're giving you this money ahead of time so that you do your fucking job and you don't make backdoor deals with people. You don't vote laws into effect for your own interest. You don't have a portfolio. You're not getting rich by putting certain laws into effect. You're not getting poorer by putting certain laws into effect. You have this money already. So do your fucking job, or you're not allowed to trade at all. But like by getting into Congress, you are giving up your right to trade on the quote unquote free market, because it's only a free market to the people in Congress. It's free in the sense that there's zero consequences, financially or legally, almost zero consequences. Because let's be honest, $200 is zero when we're talking about people like this. So something has to change. I don't know what that change will be. I'm people much smarter than me that are working on these problems right now, but let's make it illegal or let's make them filthy rich. But there's no in between, because you're either going to try to get rich or you're going to break the law and go to jail. You need something. You can't just allow people to have access to this information that will make them fucking filthy rich, make the penalty zero, and expect them to act in the public's best interest, because they're servants. You're a public servant as a member of Congress. People forget that. Like you're electing someone to serve the public, you and me and your neighbor, and you Congress is set up now to serve yourself and get rich and write a book and get a house in Nantucket and sail off into the sunset. You're not a public servant anymore. It shouldn't, like, you shouldn't get famous from being in Congress, because that's attracting the wrong type of people. You're attracting people that have their own brand and want to make masterclasses and workout videos and write books and get filthy rich at jobs after they get out of Congress and get paid $2 million to do a fucking speaking tour. That's all good and well, but like don't be in Congress then. Like I'm not against making money. I'm not against people. I love podcasting because I love the act of doing it and formulating ideas, but I also think about ways to make money. And you will make money in Congress through getting paid a salary and maybe some other things too. But if you allow people to get filthy fucking rich in Congress without consequence, you're only going to attract people who want to do that and who want to build their personal brands and use Congress for themselves to say, what can I get? How can I? And that's fine. You should be able to build your own brand. You should be able to make your own product. If people want to pay you $1 million to speak for 30 minutes in a fucking conference room, that's fine. Take the money, but don't be in Congress. These people shouldn't be allowed to be in Congress. Being in Congress should be people that are much better than me, because I'm selfishly recording this podcast for my own gain. I'm not a public servant. People in Congress are public servants. They serve the public. These should be good people, the best people in our country, and they're fucking not. So something has to change. The last thing that I want to get into is Amazon. I mentioned at the top of this podcast. So Amazon deleted reviews of the Chinese president's book on the government orders. So let's get into this. There's a New York Post article about it. It's called Amazon Deletes Reviews of Chinese President's Book on Orders of the Government Report on NewYorkPost.com. It reads, didn't like the Chinese President Xi Jinping's book? Keep your mouth shut. That's what China told Amazon, according to a new report, when the country pushed the bookseller to delete all comments and reviews related to the governance of China, a compendium of Xi's speeches and writings. Amazon complied. It's another example of a U.S. company bending to Chinese pressure in order to keep doing business in the huge and growing economy. The government edict was delivered 2 years ago, according to the Reuters report, citing two people familiar with the matter but had never before been disclosed. Now on Amazon sites accessed with China, there are no reviews or star ratings for the book. So Jeff Bezos deciding to, let me just turn this preview off. Jeff Bezos deciding to bend to China, like other tech companies, basically sucking China's dick, and sending the message to China and everyone else in the world that we will act out of our own best interests and do what we want to do until China, or let me rephrase that, because this may actually be in Amazon's best interest. But Amazon continues to say that we will operate in the U.S. and we will do what we want here until it conflicts with something that China wants for themselves. And then they will change. Then they will do whatever they need to appeal to China so that they don't pull Amazon, because China can get rid of Facebook, Amazon, any website they want, because that's how things work in a communist country. And we make so much fucking money from China. We owe China a shit ton of money, and we make a fuck ton of money off of people in China, in sports, in tech, in Hollywood. And this annoys me, not because Jeff Bezos is basically sucking on President Xi Jinping's nutsack. He can do whatever he wants. What annoys me is these tech companies, Hollywood studios, and sports franchises, like sports leagues like the NBA. They all pretend to be so strong, and they'll get up and they'll say, you know, we're for these causes where, you know, Black Lives Matter. We're going to help out, and we're our own strong organization, and we help other people too, and we function on our own belief system, and no one can sway us. No one has power over the NBA. No one has power over Amazon. No one has power over Hollywood. And then as soon as China wants something, they all get on their knees and suck the president's cock, and they slurp it deep in the fucking throat. Like, if this was a porno, Xi Jinping would be coming into Bezos' intestinal tract. That's how far down Jinping's cock is. And contrary to, you know, the stereotype, he has a hammer cock. That's what I've heard. And Bezos, every time he flies back from China, walks a little bit funny. So, like, let's just stop pretending. If we are going to bow to China, if Hollywood is going to only put out the movies that China wants, if, you know, John Cena is going to release hostage videos apologizing to China in Chinese for referring to Taiwan, which according to China doesn't exist, if the NBA is going to fire people who even say that, you know, sketchy things are going on in China, we should just make Xi Jinping the joint president of China and the U.S. Let's not have a presidential election in 2024, and let's just make Xi Jinping the president of the United States and China. Let's just combine into one force and stop pretending. Like, either be tough on China, either actually be tough on China and say, fuck you. No, we're Amazon. We function on books being able to be rated. That's how people decide. You know, even though there's a lot of sketchy things that go on with ratings, still I have the freedom to go on and rate and comment whatever I want. You know, if the NBA said, you know, fuck you to China, like, you do terrible things to people that live there. You know, we're not going to bow to you to just so that we can stream our games in your country and play there, even though it's a big market. If Hollywood said fuck you, we're not gonna, you know, change our movies for you. Like, and they actually said that. Or if you're not, just come out and say it. Like, we are hostages to China. We will do whatever China wants. But stop pretending like this weird in between where every other issue you come out and you say, oh, we're strong and, you know, no one can affect our decision making. We do what we want, and we have balls, and we have vision, and we have freedom, and we're in this capitalist economy of the United States where anything is possible, and our customers believe in us, and we believe in our customers, and nothing will get in between that. And then Bezos gets an email from Xi Jinping and says, hey, by the way, stop letting people. I saw my book got 1 4-star review. Either you take that away or Amazon's gone in China. And Bezos is like, oh, pretty please, like, Xi Jinping, don't do that. Like, we just, it was just one silly review. Like, can't we just leave it on there and, like, let people say what they want to say and freedom of speech? And Xi Jinping's like, that's not how things work here, buddy. That's not how things work. I say the reality in China. I already determined that I have the best-selling book of the decade. And I've already determined that there will be nothing but 50,000 5-star reviews on my book. I saw the reality, and I now make that reality. That's what you can do as the leader of a communist country. You choose the reality that you want to see. And Bezos and other companies in the U.S. have the choice to withdraw themselves from that reality and say, we'll make a lot less money, but it's better to be in control and carry out your vision than to be at the whim of another country just because they have 1 billion paying customers and, maybe they lose 30% of their revenue because China, Xi Jinping blacks out Amazon. I don't know, but like either let's teach China a lesson and fucking stop sucking their cocks, or teach the American people a lesson and just make Xi Jinping the emperor of the U.S., because that's what these tech guys and these NBA guys and Hollywood guys treat him like. They're like, he's the overlord, and no, sorry, Xi Jinping, like, we didn't mean to disturb you, like, I'm gonna stop talking now and put your cock back in my mouth. And it's like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like, it's not the, like make a decision. Either be strong on China or don't, but stop masquerading like you're this fucking strong company and behind closed doors you're just getting railed out by China. And it's not behind closed doors anymore. People see this shit. And it's embarrassing for the US. So either lean into it or get the fuck out. And thank you guys for listening to this episode. I've been ranting long enough. Again, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's to everyone. I want to thank anyone who listens to the podcast, who has listened to the podcast. Maybe this is your first episode. Welcome. If you aren't aware, many of you may not be aware that I actually drop 2 bonus episodes per month on Auxoro Premium, auxoro.supercast.com. The link will be in the description wherever you're listening to this, auxoro.supercast.com. And there you get 2 bonus episodes a month. Some are solos, some are conversations. They're deep dives on topics like this. And I'm going to bring it up for a second so I could tell you guys what we already have up there, because there's a lot of episodes up. I think we have 12 or 13 episodes already in the backlog. So when you sign up, you get 2 bonus episodes of the Aux every month. You get exclusive AMA episodes. People submit questions on Supercast, and I'll answer them. They suggest topics. They ask me things about podcasting, about sex, drugs, fucking whatever. A lot of the topics that I spoke about on today's episodes were people submitting me articles, news stories, things that they wanted me to talk about. So you can do that on Supercast. And you also have access to all the archived bonus episodes. So I just released one on free will. I had a conversation with my girlfriend and neuroscientist, Julie LeBeau, who, took me to school on free will. I also released one on the Dark Knight. We have 3 or 4 solo episodes on there where I go in and out of certain topics. One on Ted Bundy, the obesity epidemic, the rise of Tim Dillon, the Tuskegee syphilis experiment, the COVID lab leak hypothesis. There's over 20 hours of premium content on there now in the backlog. You can do a free trial as well, where you can sign up if you don't like. Binge all the episodes. If you really want to, you could binge every episode that's on there and then stop paying for it. But you wouldn't get the 2 that drop every month. So every month the catalog builds more and more episodes, and you have access to those forever. Again, you can submit topics and suggestions. Go to auxoro.supercast.com and check it out. It's all there, auxoro.supercast.com. Thank you for listening to the episode of The Aux. I love you guys, and I will talk to you next time.